Welcome everyone to the show tonight. This is THS Discourse, and we are talking about the Blair Witch Project, Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, and Blair Witch 2016. And I did not get to play the video game, which apparently is one of the scariest games of all time. I watched somebody play it on YouTube instead, like a turd. You know, these kids these days watch people playing video games, so I did that, and pretty damn scary. Even though I was just a casual viewer, not playing it myself. Kind of want to play it now, but it's $30 and it's only a 5-hour game. It seems like it's a waste of money. So tonight we've got the usual suspects. Got Nathan Thomas Milliner with us tonight.
Hey.
Of course, my volume's up. We've got Jared Laterno.
Greetings.
This summer, Jared's going to do a show from my house.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I think that has to happen.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And we've got Seth T. Miller plus Indigo.
Yeah. So
anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? We doing good? Ready to keep that energy up? I know Nate's been printing out VHS slips for his little collection behind him.
Yep.
Nate, is this going to be the new background from now on?
Maybe.
Our last family video closed down in my town, and they had like 7 of those just sitting in the parking lot.
Yeah. I wish I would have gotten myself one. I would love to have one behind me, but I did not. And
I tested them out to see if they would hold movies sideways, but no, they're for frontal views.
Yeah. Awful, right? All right. So Alex Ross is here. I'm very tired. I had a weird night last night. I helped to try to dig up my brother-in-law's yard, and then we did this probe thing where we got to stick a pole in the yard trying to find a water pipe. Wore me the fuck out. And I got home and fell asleep at 7 o'clock. Woke up at 10 to put the kids to bed, which was late, and then fell asleep at midnight. And then woke my ass up at 5. I hated it, so I'm tired. So anyway, we ready to talk about the Blair Witch?
Let's do it.
I saw that Seth had. I mean, there's only 3 movies, but Seth had an interesting way to list them, and I kind of want to get into that a little bit. Why did you list them the way you did? Go ahead and tell them what the way you listed the Blair Witch movies.
Well, I'm a weirdo. Okay, like I'm.
Well, yeah, we know that.
Yeah, so I know that my ranking is going to be probably different from all yours. But I actually preferred the sequels over the first one. But that's not to say I disliked the first one. And that's the difficult thing with ranking. You know, it's just because something's at the bottom doesn't mean that I dislike it or I like it any less. I had a better time with some of the sequels. I like the first movie. I don't have a lot of cons with it, but it's not like my type of movie, I guess. So
yeah, you were saying you're not a big found footage guy.
Yeah, I'm kind of coming around on that, like in the last couple of years, but yeah.
Well, if you missed his list, he has the first one ranked last, and the second one ranked first, which is fine.
It definitely sparks some controversy, so to speak.
Yeah, it's the Blair Witch movies. I don't think it's gonna. Nathan, is that a VHS of the Blair Witch behind you?
Yeah, I got the double one that Curse of the Blair Witch.
That's what you were showing us.
Oh, yeah, the documentary that came with it.
Yeah, that documentary. Anybody who's out there watching, have you seen The Curse of the Blair Witch? If not, it's definitely worth watching, especially if you're going to watch the Blair Witch Project. Watch that beforehand. It's available on Tubi. You do have to fight through some commercials, but it's worth it unless you have it on DVD or VHS like Nathan. And I think the Blair Witch, for my money, would be better off on VHS, which I wish I still had mine. Nate's been showing off his VHS stuff, and it's making me all jelly.
Yeah, they were all sitting in like the garage, and because 90s for like six years. I get feedback. yeah, 6 years I was just buying. I had a huge VHS collection, and so after the DVD upgrade, what was I going to do with them? And then I got this rack for $10.
You
at
know,
a
that's
video
awesome.
store.
You got that rack for $10, dude.
Yeah,
That's so awesome. Yeah. So here's a person who likes the sequels too. We're gonna get into our theatrical experiences. I know I've seen it in the theater. I saw it on opening night. But I wanted to say something, and I completely forgot what it was. So never mind. Oh, the Blu-ray, the DVDs. They didn't release the first movie on Blu-ray, as far as I know. And so the DVD I have is actually from like when they first released it on DVD, if I'm not mistaken. It comes with the soundtrack, which there's not much to it.
Not much of a soundtrack.
Yeah, and then it comes with the Curse of the Blair Witch is on there.
does it have all the? Because I remember getting the soundtrack when it came out in '99, but it was like Josh's mixtape, so it was like stuff that wasn't in the movie. It was like typo It was like typo negative music and goth music or stuff like that.
We got them right here, so I'll take a look here. Need my glasses. Oh yeah, I think it is Godhead.
That's on the second one.
Oh shit. Here. Never mind. This doesn't have. This is. I was thinking of the second one.
You must have been thinking, yeah, the second one actually came with the soundtrack. Yeah.
No, but this does have DVD-ROM for my computer.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was like. Josh's mixtape from the first.
I remember
movie.
that.
Yeah.
They may have sold that separately.
Yeah, it didn't come with it. I don't remember it coming with a video release.
Yeah, this has 3 songs and then the score from the second movie. Oh well. The funny thing is the Marilyn Manson song is not even on here.
It's not on there.
Yeah.
But you got Tony Iommi with the guy from Foo Fighters.
Featuring Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl.
Yeah. So my door's open. Sorry. So anyway, we've got some people watching us. Thank goodness. It's not a show without you people out there. If you haven't hit the subscribe button by now or the like button, even on YouTube, please do. It helps us. Those aren't jump scares coming behind me. Those are my kids with no shirts on. Cool. So anyway, Zachary Keene says the second one's a guilty pleasure. I say nay. It is not a guilty pleasure. It's a worthy movie. What's up, Andre? Let's catch up on some of these. Watch Curse of the Blair Witch. Watch it. It's pretty good, I think. Nate, you've seen it, have you?
I saw it on Sci-Fi when it aired back in '99. Yeah, it was. I can't remember if I saw it before the film or not. It premiered on Sci-Fi 2 weeks before the movie came out to kind of set that like, and the website was up a year before the film came out to really kind of make everybody believe it.
Yeah, that's something I definitely want to get into. I remember my friends, have you seen this website? And we all bought into it, the legend and everything. And I think this is all they have for these. And I have the third one on Blu-ray, but it's not like they need to be released on Blu-ray. Maybe the Blair Book of Shadows does. So let's talk about it. Who all saw it in the theater?
I did not.
Was it just me?
I did. Yeah. I thought,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, I'll tell my story real fast. Picture this, July 1999. Now, so like I said, my friends were telling me about the website, and I didn't have internet back in '99, not yet anyway. And I went over to my buddy Manny's house, and of course it was dial-up, so it took fucking forever for it to load up. But he's like, yeah, you can see videos from.
Gotta love AOL.
Yeah, pretty much. But like they were all, it's real. These people actually disappeared, and their family said it was okay for them to show it, And so we went, and this was days before we went and saw it. We saw it on opening night, and so we went in believing this shit was real. To talk about viral campaign marketing, it was fantastic. I believed, and it freaked me out. Like it's like watching that movie, believing it was real. Thinking that it was proving the supernatural existed, in my opinion, even though of course we all found out it was fake. The thing that got me though was the end was so powerful, and not much really happens. Seeing the Rustin, what I thought was Rustin Parr's cabin or his shack or whatever you want to call it, and then it just kind of, the camera hits the ground and fades to black. The best part though was we were leaving the theater, and one of my friends thought it was a good idea to make little stick men outside the theater so all the regular people would freak out. They did. They were screaming on the way out because our theater let out to like a wooded area. And so we were real quick, just threw some together on the ground, and people were freaking out. Get to hear Heather's, what the fuck is that? From a few people. Pretty fun. So, but yeah, I will say one thing. I sat in the front row because it was a packed theater, dizzy as fuck by the time I got out. I couldn't drive home. Yeah.
I could imagine being that close.
Being that close and the screen being so big, like watching it on TV now, it doesn't bother me one bit. But back then, because as soon as it came out on VHS back then, I was fucking there. I think I pre-ordered it actually at Saturday Matinee or whatever, the Suncoast or something like that, because I was in. And if you pre-ordered it, you got the Curse of the Blair Witch, that's how I got that. So I didn't get to see it until I got it. But the worst part was the next morning, because we all went out to Denny's that night that's what we would do. We go see a movie late at night and go to Denny's, eat, and hang out and talk. The next
Get an all-American slam,
No, ultimate omelet. Come on. I woke up and I'm watching TV, and there's fucking Heather on a Steak and Shake commercial. It's like, I thought she was dead. And then of course the news comes on, the Blair Witch hoax and all. So I'm like, son of a bitch, they got me good. So anyway, Nate, what about you? What was your theatrical experience like?
I can't remember if I saw it twice or not, because I know I took me and my brother-in-law Joe went and saw it. I was like 23. I just remember going to see it. It was either the first time or I had taken him to see it a second time. I don't remember, but I just remember like we came out. He's like, that wasn't very scary, which it wasn't one of those movies that I wasn't traumatized or I didn't think it was terrifying. But he said, "Oh, that wasn't scary at all." I was like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "You want to go camping right now?" He's like, "Fuck
right.
no." And I remember I was working UPS at that time, and I remember coming home real late early morning. There was woods behind my parents' house. I was still at home. Living at home at that time. I'd just gotten out of college. And so I got out of my car and I heard shit in the woods and it's like rushing into the house. So it's one of those movies, and that Blair Witch is the reason it was working on me. So
yeah,
it's one of those movies where maybe it's not terrifying you, but it lingers with you because, it's scary out in the woods. I mean, a lot of people criticize that it wasn't scary. And because a lot of people need to see things, and really its effectiveness is that we don't see anything. Because sound will do more, suggestion will do more than, like, people wanted to see what the Blair Witch was, and I'm like, I'm thankful we didn't see her, because my imagination of this thing, this malevolence out in the woods, far exceeds any actor in a costume or actress in a costume playing a witch. So I like that and plus it plays on two different things. Did it really happen? Is it really supernatural, or is there something else going on there? Are there people fucking with them out there in the woods? Or there's even a theory that Josh and Michael were going to kill her. Like, that Josh was in a bad relationship with Heather early on, and he wanted to murder her out there, and so they were fucking with her to kill her and kill her out there and leave her out there. So I don't believe that at all, but I think they do enough to where it could be just people screwing with them, and just even getting lost. Like they say, the cast themselves got lost 3 times while making the movie, and like they were never like deep in the woods where they weren't near civilization. But like one night they got lost and went to the house, and they called, because they weren't allowed to have cell phones while they were out there. So they had to like call the directors to come get them at this person's house in the middle of the night, because they had no idea where they were. But it's one of those movies that just, even when I was watching it this week, I was watching it, the lights were on. I was like, I got to turn the lights off. This is just one of the movies you got to. The thing about found footage is you have to allow yourself to believe that you're there, that this was real, that you're watching actual footage, and you're just like Paranormal Activity. People said that wasn't scary, but like if I'm really believing, if I'm letting myself believe that this is actual footage, these people are actually experiencing this, these noises, these occurrences, these out of the ordinary things. It's terrifying if you let yourself play along with it. But if you're sitting there with a chip on your shoulder going, this isn't scary, this is bullshit, where's the monsters, where's the witches? It's not going to work on you. Or, to me, the people who had legitimate problems were the people who got motion sickness watching it, just couldn't handle that. I heard a lot of that. Like, I just can't watch it because it makes me sick.
Yeah.
But the thing about found footage, when it's done well, that's why, like, I'm wearing a Romero shirt here, but I'm not a fan of Diary of the Dead because Diary of the Dead felt scripted and like a film. It didn't feel like it was real to me. Like, it way too much preaching to the camera and way too much, like, it was just a little too movie to be to compared to this, where this was a really different thing. I know, like, people talk about The Last Broadcast or Cannibal Holocaust. Blair Witch was this whole new experience where we weren't used to that, because this is a time where camcorders became a little more normal. Like, more people had like camcorders at home and were taking home videos. So not like everybody has a camera now in their pocket, but at that time, some people had a camcorder and you had home videos. So we were used to seeing that. And some people thought, oh, the movie's boring, it's slow. But to me, it has to be, because if real life isn't as entertaining or as exciting as scripted film. So when things seem mundane and the characters are just having regular conversations and nothing feels scripted, it feels like genuine dialogue, because it really was, because they were just improving everything they said was
they got
in the moment.
They got very little to go with. It's like, okay, this is what's happening today. Go. And Eduardo Sanchez, I think that's the creator's name. Yeah, they would be out in the middle of the woods while they were at the camp at night making noises. So they were reacting really to what happened. Like when Heather found the bundle of sticks, that was pure reaction from her. So yeah, that's what. Yeah, I agree with you with Diary of the Dead for sure.
They didn't. That to me, the way this movie was made is what's most fascinating, because, like you said, they didn't know what was going to happen. They had no script. They had like a 35-page outline and really about the history of the Blair Witch and all that. And they were actually tricked to believe. They were told that this was a real folklore from Burkittsville. So they believed that the Blair Witch was a real thing, not something they created.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that she was really a ghost or whatever, but that story was real. That there was a Ellie Kendrick, was real, and all these things were real. So when they're interviewing people, some of the people that they interviewed in the movie are real people or plants. They don't know which.
Yeah.
And they believe that this is real.
Very genuine.
Yeah.
They're extremely genuine.
And it's like you said, a lot of their reactions are authentic, because they didn't know that they were going to start banging on the tent in the middle of the night, or they were going to hear children laughing and playing in the woods at night, or that Josh was going to die or be taken. They didn't know that they were going to film those stick people, or all these things happened. They had no idea was coming, and they had to genuinely react, to the point where, like Heather has said, at that final scene where she's running through the house, after she realized it was over and it was cut, she was still crying and hyperventilating because it was so terrifying. She was in fear for a long period of time after that. It took her a minute to calm down.
Yeah.
Because it was terrifying to her.
I can imagine. She did a great job too.
Yeah.
All right, Jared, did you get to see it in theater, or did you have to wait for home video?
I waited for home video. So July 1999 was the summer before my junior year of high school.
I think that's when it came out. I know it was 99, but
yeah, summer.
So yeah, it was right before my junior year of high school, and like I heard it all the things that everybody said about it.
July 30th.
I wasn't like, I didn't go to the movies very much when I was at that age in high school. So I didn't get to it until I got a VHS copy from the grocery store I worked at, from their video store. And you get caught up in how amazing the marketing was. They made a faux documentary for it, like everything like leading up to it, like just entranced you into watching this movie. And their marketing is like something that people would bite like off the chomp to get that exposure right now. Like obviously, there isn't the mass media that we have that back then, but that was what made this movie so successful, was just that marketing campaign. And first watched it, it tense at moments, and the ending obviously got me, but like it's one of those movies you don't really realize what you watched until you watched it, and then you want to watch it again and then again. And then I weared out my VHS copy, and then at the same time it's like, what the fuck?
It's one of those that you watch it to see if you miss something too. Like especially that bundle that I mentioned before. It's like, what was in there? I didn't have any idea. I thought there was an ear or a tongue or something. Like apparently there's teeth. But like, and then when they find the stickmen, that was one of the best parts for me. I was like, wow, look how many there are, and what do they mean, and do they represent something? You start going. For me, my brain started going into overdrive. As soon as I got that VHS, I was rewinding, fast forwarding, going back and forth, trying to figure everything out.
What was it Michael said? No redneck is this creative or something.
Yeah.
I really like Michael, and I was looking at, like, I was reading some stuff about it, and they said that like those three characters, like Heather's character is like Captain Ahab in the movie. Like she's totally like determined to find that white whale, and keeps filming to the point where they're like, why you keep doing your documentary thing, man? Turn this shit off. And she's filming even when they're arguing, or when she's fighting with Michael over the map and all that. Like she's still filming. They said Michael is representing us, the audience. Like he's saying and doing what we think. Like, just get the fuck out of here. And then Josh is playing the guy in the middle, trying to keep the peace between them. Which is the interesting thing is they said that during filming, Heather and Josh fought like cats and dogs. They hated each other. And a lot of the footage, the original cut was 2.5 hours long, and a lot of it was Josh just berating her to the point where they thought, we got to cut this down, because it's like these two men are just fucking giving her hell constantly, because that's how it was going, because Josh and her didn't get along at all. But
I'd like to see that, actually. Like, not the longer cut. Yeah. Wow.
Apparently played at festivals and stuff, but the 2.5 hour or 2 hour runtime.
I could sit through that. I don't know if everybody could sit through that. You out there, would you like to see a 2.5 hour cut of the Blair Witch Project? Let us know in the comments. Seth, what about you, man? Sitting back, relaxing. Where's Indigo?
He's sleeping right here. I didn't get to see it in theaters. Actually, I remember when the whole ordeal came out, and actually I knew a lot of people who told me that the movie sucked. And so I didn't have a rush to see it. And the funny thing is the Blair Witch Project was actually one of those movies that taught me not to listen to what other people say and to judge a movie for its own merits. Because I watched it. I rented the VHS when that came out, and I was like, this is actually a pretty damn good movie. It's got a really good amount of tension in it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of panic and anxiety with the characters, so it's an effective horror movie where, not a lot happens, but it's still you feel the panic that the characters go through as they're getting lost, as things progress.
Isolation.
Yeah, my only takeaway is I thought that Josh and Heather should have kicked Mike's ass
for kicking the map into the creek.
Well, not only for kicking the map, but then when he revealed it, he's like laughing about it.
Yeah.
You dumb dick.
I just kicked that fucking map.
She almost did, man. He's like Josh is so mellow. He's just like, come on, man. I look like rolls down, and like I'm just. If you find somebody, tell them I'm under this tree
with the vine.
With the vine.
I also like the part where he's like having a moment, and Heather and Mike are like, should we just give him time? He's like, does anybody have a cigarette?
Yeah. And he's like telling her not to film it. Like, leave him alone, man. there's some really great stuff there. I mean, we know who those people are, and we know their relationship, we know their temperaments and all that, and that they were able to take. I mean, they shot 20 hours of footage. They were out there 8 days, and they, it took 8 months to cut it, which is kind of normal for a documentary. And that's what inspired the movie. Is they found that a lot of horror movies weren't scary. They said the stuff that scared them were documentaries that were kind of horror based, stuff that were about like monsters and ghosts and supernatural documentaries. That was stuff. So it's amazing that no one really had done it before. And a lot of people say The Last Broadcast beat them there. Well, they came up with this movie in '93, I think. This idea,
and they had never seen Cannibal Holocaust either.
No. And '97 is when they were making it, when they started shooting it. So before all that, but I don't know. It's just what I remember when it came out too, because I'm a huge Tarantino fan, and on the making of Pulp Fiction, I immediately remembered in the making of Pulp Fiction. There's a scene, the behind the scenes stuff, where they're filming Bruce Willis when he's sitting in the car at the crosswalk before he runs over Ving Rhames.
Mm-hmm.
And this person's interviewing him with a camcorder, right? And they're like, so what are you saying? He goes, and Bruce says, in about 4 or 5 years, some 17-year-old kid's going to take one of those and make like the biggest movie in the world with that. And it's going to take over the world, and it's going to cost hardly anything. It's going to cost like $20,000 or something, and it's going to blow up. And it's like Bruce Willis predicted it. Like, yeah, it was. Like 5 years later, Blair Witch Project comes out and really did like just blow up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing the movie cost as much as it did. I guess
I'm surprised too. I looked that up and I was like, whoa.
Well, we talked about that in short. They had to go back to film some of the what do they call that? The talking with the townsfolk and stuff, and I know they had to go back and do some things. I can't imagine what cost them $40,000 or $20,000.
I'd imagine
the overall budget was $300,000.
Most of that was spent in post production. I think like the actual production of the film was around 20, 25,000.
Oh yeah, a lot of it's going to go into like the website and
the marketing and stuff too.
Yeah. You've got the website, you got all the marketing. Like I said, you got, having 3 actors like give up their life really in many ways for 8 days and to pretend like they were dead, like on their IMDb pages, it was listed as deceased or missing. Like people, they had to appear to be dead and gone, and not give that away, not ruin it. And that takes a lot, but it's really just it's an incredible, like as a horror filmmaker, this is the kind of situation you dream about, to have a movie that people believe that you fooled half the population or even more, and you had this movie that cost that little, a couple $20,000 or whatever, and it just it was a phenomenon. And the fact that you were able to get that out and like putting cameras in actors' hands. They shot 90% of that movie, the actors themselves, and they had like crash courses. That's why some of the stuff is kind of like the scene with Mary Brown is off because Josh wasn't totally familiar with the 16 millimeter camera, and it was kind of raw like that. It wasn't the clearest image. He actually broke the camera when he rolled down the hill, I think, or something. And like the scene, someone mentioned the iconic scene, of course, everybody made fun of with her confession or her apology.
Snot nose.
The snot nose, where everybody was making fun of it. But like, that is an iconic thing, and it became a thing. But like, it was a mistake because she was supposed to be, she wanted it looking straight at her, but she was so unfamiliar with the zoom and the camera and all that it was like just tight, close looking up her nose shot. It wasn't the intention. But that scene,
the selfies.
I completely believe her in that scene too. She's it's a shame that this movie kind of fucked her career as an actress, because I thought she was pretty good.
She was really good.
I saw Josh do a lot of stuff afterwards, but
he was in the Town of Dreaded Sundown.
Yeah.
The whatever I don't know what to call that. It's not a remake. It's a self-aware something or other. But Yeah, I saw him in that. I don't think Mike ever did anything afterwards. Heather did a lot of commercials, and that's about all I know her from.
I saw her in something else. She was in another movie in the early 2000s, but I can't remember. It was a small part. It wasn't a lead. It was, she had maybe one or two scenes.
I feel like I might somewhat remember that, but not really. I like them, and when you like somebody, you search out what they've done, and I remember seeing her in something other than Steak and Shake commercials. Scenes from a workaround. Let's see if I can find it. Pull it up.
Did you hear about the rehearsals? Her rehearsals for the movie, where they met like thousands of actors, and originally wanted 3 guys to be the filmmakers, and what they wanted was somebody who's really good at improv. So they would ask you questions right away, and you had how long you took or whatever you said would get you the part. Well, one of the questions they asked was if you were in prison serving a 25-year term, and you were 10 years in and up for parole, what would you say to get to be let go or let out early? And she says, and apparently Haley just went, I don't think you should. And that's what won them over. I don't think you should let me out. And so, I mean, I just love this fucking movie. As a filmmaker, I admire what they were able to pull off, from the marketing and just the amount of work that went into that to build that whole backstory, to make that Curse of the Blair Witch that is so effective and believable. That mockumentary is just as good as the movie is, if not better, and it's believable and authentic looking.
Yeah.
And to set up that history, and that's what really makes that film effective, is it does have roots. And when you look at the website and you look at all this stuff, that takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication and a lot of, not a lot of independent filmmakers go to that length to present a movie or put a movie out like that.
They built an entire legend based around a fictional town of Blair, which Burkittsville is real, but Blair is not. And they built,
which makes sense, because how could you fool people if there's no real Burkittsville?
But even in going into some of the art design of, like, there's sketches of the witch. They I don't know if they found records of somebody, like records of a boat that came over from England or wherever it was with Ellie Kedward's name on it. Or what?
Well, actually, the name Ellie Kedward is playing off of Edward Kelly, who was like a mystic or something back in the 1700s, 1600s. So, yeah, her name comes from that.
Well, yeah, but you in the Curse of the Blair Witch, you see the document that has her name as a passenger on the boat. Yeah. It's like that's the way to build mythology, is to go that deep. And like, I'm surprised there wasn't much. I guess because of Book of Shadows, there wasn't that much more they were able to do, because that did not do well, even though I like the movie. But yeah, I agree with you. I love this movie. I never understood why people hate it.
Well, I'd like to see what they would have done with it, because apparently they really had nothing to do with the sequel. They, like, the studio really wanted to capitalize, and Haxon, who is Edward, Earl, and Daniel, were like, let's give it a bit. Let's give it a bit to because it was still huge, and like, let's give it a minute. So the studio moved on without the filmmakers, and even the studio, the studio even kind of screwed the director of Book of Shadows, because they did a lot of reshoots and things. They didn't like what he was doing, and they kind of recut it and redid other footage and things if the movie does feel to me rushed. And
yeah, it came out a year after the
movie. Yeah. Of course, that's the nature of horror movies. Yeah. I mean, maybe it was the right call, because let's face it, after that movie came out, it was just kind of hurt, like Scream was, by just constant mockery and spoofs and satire. And I mean, like, the Scary Movie movies are making fun of it, and there was like another, like the Blair, there was like porn or softcore core porn versions, like the what's her name, Misty Monday or whatever, did something like the Blair Witch
The Bear Witch Project, or
the
something?
Bear Winch Project, or something like it. So it was one of those movies that took pop culture so wildly that it just became They kind of killed it, which is really interesting because as people talk about found footage, there really wasn't anyone to capitalize on found footage again until Paranormal Activity, which was like 10 years later. Paranormal Activity, I can't think of anything between Blair Witch and that really had a significant, like, found footage. And the interesting thing about that is Jason Blumhouse was the executive at Miramax who passed on the Blair Witch back then.
Really?
Yeah.
And then he made his fortune on the back of Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was Rec in between that time frame?
That's another thing we talked about.
The one I can think of.
Paranormal Activity, didn't it?
I think Rec and Paranormal Activity came out about the same time.
Yeah, that's the only other one I can think of.
What about Chronicle? When did that come out?
I think that came out later. I think it was
Chronicle came out.
Yeah.
Cloverfield, maybe. Did Cloverfield come out before?
No, that came out in yeah, you know what? I think it came out in 06. I could be wrong. I'm trying to find the Misty Mundane movie, by the way. Sorry.
Monday.
Yeah. Sorry. Lord of the G-Strings.
Not that I need. Yeah, Lord of the G-Strings.
Lust for Dracula. There's some good ones here. Spider Babe. I remember seeing that. My buddy Edgar bought it.
She was in The Lost, which was great. Great. Jack Ketchum.
Yes.
So there's a lot of these, and what is it? Softcore porn?
Pretty much.
Wait, and we're watching videos.
But I just adore the film. I adore the documentary. If someone were to say, "Hey, what would you do with the Blair Witch Project?" My dream project, if I was in any ways had that fall in my lap, would be I would want to make a movie about the making of that movie. I want to show how it was made. I want to show Heather, Michael, and them out there, the directors, what they were doing. I think that's an interesting story as far as the making of a movie.
We talked about the possibility of a Rustin Parr movie too, didn't we?
Rustin Parr would be cool. Even an Ellie movie set in the 1700s would be cool.
I think it would be. I think either one would be good. I think there's a lot there that they could play with. The Blair Witch Project. Scott Montgomery says it's from 07, 08. I think that's about right. It feels like that's about right. Some of the comments that we've missed. Yeah, they are actually. I mean, that became the logo, and Eduardo Sanchez said he didn't expect that to become the logo with the tree. They just did something for fun for the movie.
Happy accident. Make something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Happy accident. Let's see. This movie was great. Exercise. Yeah, making a movie on a budget. Enlighten us. What did you hear? I'd love to know what the Book of Shadows was supposed to be. Seth, do you have any idea? No. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I like the Blair Witch Project. I liked it from the get-go. I will tell one more story, even though I knew the whole thing was real. I used to work at this gas station when I was 19, and I worked until midnight. And there was an alley that went straight from the gas station to my house, 4 blocks. And I hated walking that home after I saw the Blair Witch Project. I always felt like somebody was watching me behind me. There was nobody watching me. But I'd get about 3 streets down, and then the last part of the alley, I would run to my house because I was so nervous. I was 19, but whatever. It's all good. Anyway.
Before we move on, I have a fun fact. Since a lot of the dialogue was unscripted for that movie, there was literally over 130 fucks
yeah.
and over 60 shits in that movie.
I mean,
great writing.
That's what's that's the thing. It's natural. Like that's what
exactly.
we do. That's why it's so authentic. I do like that big mystery scene of where she's running and says, "What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
Like. Apparently, there was someone over there dressed like the Blair Witch, basically, like someone in white, like a grip or somebody running. and that's what she saw. But I think it said it was Mike holding the camera. Maybe he didn't look over. He didn't move the camera over to catch it. Which
Just
I'm kind
kept
of like
focusing on her.
Yeah, which I'm
Well, the
thankful for.
camera
We
kind of
don't
goes,
know.
it goes up and to the right. So like if the person's over here, the camera went up, it was angled up like that. Because I swear I saw another stick figure in the tree, like a big one in the tree. Whenever she was saying, "What the fuck is that?" What was, I never knew there was somebody over there.
It was somebody in white, all white, running through the woods to her left. And is that the scene where we hear the kids laughing in the beginning? Like while they're inside the tent?
That's the second night, I think.
I think that part was when my heart started pumping in the theater. When
Yeah.
you hear those kids, because it is like, why are there children out here laughing in the middle of the woods at night? Like that's not natural. That's not real. And when they hear it, when they first hear it, of course they didn't know they were going to hear that shit. And I think Michael Williams said that was a moment that really fucked him up when they were really doing it, because this was not what he was expecting to hear in the middle of the night. And you can hear her gasp, like she breathes in when they hear that, like the realization of what they're hearing. It's palpable. I can feel it.
It happens
so
right when she opens the tent. She opens the tent and gasps really like
and again, like the stuff they didn't realize, like apparently like Josh was told to, like they got him up in the middle of the night to remove him. He didn't even know he was going to be killed off. And they kind of pulled him over and said, "Hey, you're dead. Like you're out." And like he said, "Great, there's a James Addiction concert I'm gonna go see." So he was happy to get killed off. But
so they did that without Heather and Mike knowing about it.
Yeah, they didn't know about it. Josh didn't even know about it, that he was going to die. And apparently, even when they were running down the house, the only thing that Mike knew was he was supposed to stay ahead of Heather. He was supposed to, like, then the Josh calling out was just speakers playing. It was like pre-recorded of him screaming. And Mike's only thing was he was supposed to be ahead of Heather so she couldn't catch up. That was his only direction, was to run through the house and keep her behind you so that they could pull him aside and say, "Get in that corner." He comes down.
Let's get into that ending before we move on to the sequels, because there's always the question about what was going on at the end of the Blair Witch Project. When Mike was in the corner, Heather's running, screaming. People didn't understand why you could hear her voice, like on the other camera, but not on. There was no mic hooked up to it. Everybody didn't know that. But like,
Mike had the audio equipment,
right? So that's why you could hear her in the distance, but. Because there are people who are asking me, why couldn't you hear her like through her kids? Okay. Anyway, Mike was in the corner, right, facing the corner when Heather found her and then thump. Why? This is a question that a lot of people ask. Do you guys know why? Not Nate. I think Seth or Jared. Do you know why?
When you're bad, you get put in the corner.
I thought that maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that was kind of addressed in the movie when they're talking about the legend that someone gets put in a corner until the last one dies or something like that.
The Rustin Parr, yeah.
Rustin Parr made the kids wait in the corner, stand against the wall while he murdered the kids one at a time, right?
Yeah, there was a thing about them not being able to look at the Blair Witch, not be able to see her, and so he put them in the corner. Or facing the wall. That the last kid who escaped, he was always in the corner while he was killing the other kids.
I want to see that movie. Like just the idea of this guy who's hearing the witch telling him there's a ghost woman in the woods telling me to do this, and that once he's done, he walks into town and says, "I'm finally finished."
She told him,
what?
Yeah, what'd you do? Yeah, but she told him to say exactly that. Go into town and tell them you're finally finished. Doing what? Yeah, seriously, Seth, the Curse of the Blair Witch, man. Andre, he's given us the lowdown for the sequel. Apparently, there was a time travel theory about the first movie. When they ended up in the old house in the cabin, they went back to the time of Rustin Parr's house. Oh, that's not the sequel, but yeah. That gets into the third movie because there's definitely a time paradox in the third movie.
Yep.
Which that's also in the video game. The video game, by the way, if you are a gamer at all, and you like horror games, it's definitely worth checking out. I watched the playthrough, and I didn't know there were multiple endings because the ending I saw freaked me out, and I just was watching it. I didn't want to buy it just because I like the Blair Witch and the legend and everything. So, but yeah, that ending, man. You see when she gets down there. First of all, ascending and descending the staircase and seeing all the kids' handprints on the wall creeped me out like hardcore. Because if you're paying attention at the beginning and you hear about the whole thing with Mr. Parr and the kids and all that stuff, you know where you are when you're in that house. I think some people may have lost interest and they didn't realize where they were or where Heather and Mike were when you see those handprints on the wall. That stuck with me for a while. And seeing Mike in the corner, that was a good gag that a lot of people played, or that my friends they would just go out to the woods and stand there in the corner with their back to the people. Like, what are you doing, Tony? What are you doing? And he wouldn't answer you. That happened a few times to us. We were assholes. Anyway, so.
But you can imagine, like, the fear that, like you said, Heather's fear of that scene, like, because that is like if you're out in the middle of the woods and you go in this old house in the middle of the woods at night, and you're in character. You're hearing Josh screaming, and you're hearing all that stuff, like, and you're in the moment as an actor. That's going to be really hard to come down from. It really is. And to just, she even said, like, she was just nervous about the whole movie because I didn't know. I thought these guys could have been making a snuff film. They might have murdered us out there. Apparently she took a knife with her because she didn't like the idea of, like, sleeping out in the woods with two guys she didn't know. And so, that's a very vulnerable thing for this young woman to be doing. To go out there in the woods for 8 days.
I thought she was kick ass. I thought she was great.
I love Heather Donahue, and I got to meet her. I got to meet her last year, before COVID and all that. And
I was going to try to get her on the show, but I thought she was off of Facebook until I saw her today. She changed her name, so I was like, who is this? And I look, I'm like, oh my god, that's why I couldn't find her. It's not even close to her name, so I can't remember what it was. So I'd like to get her on the show. I think she'd do it. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, what do you guys think of the ending overall? Was the ending creepy enough for all you guys?
I know they tried a lot of different endings, and all the stuff they had was more extreme and more graphic and more typical. But to me, it requires that you paid attention to what you were told, to know why he's standing in the corner, like you said. And it's just, it just ends right. You just get knocked down, and the camera's there and runs out, because that's the thing. It's a mystery. No one knows what happened to them. No one knows. To leave it open, to not have an answer, is, to me, always more effective in horror than to just give you all the answers.
Camera hits the floor, and that's all. That goes to black, and there's no music. It's just rolling, the credits. I love the Blair Witch Project. I think it's one of the best of the '90s for sure. Unfortunately, it's not in the bracket anymore. It's easily one of the best of the '90s. But they had to make more money, so they made the Book of Shadows. This is Seth's favorite of the series. I liked it. I went and saw it opening night. What are you guys' take on the Book of Shadows before we get to Seth? Because I know Seth is just he loves it as much as he loves werewolf movies.
I wouldn't go that far.
Jared, what about you? Did you get to see the Book of Shadows early on, or did you wait?
Oh, I saw it very early on, like right at when it came out. It was interesting because it kind of still tried to hold true to the idea of it. Like, once you get to the third act, if you haven't seen the movie, like, it plays pretty much as a forward straight movie. But, like, once it gets to the third act, then you have the cameras that try to, like, play on what you think you saw and stuff like that. I actually thought it was a really good movie when I saw it. Then the more and more I watched it, like I said, there's obviously, like, some editing issues and stuff like that. But for the most part, like, it's a fucking enjoyable movie, and it doesn't deserve the hate everybody gives it.
I agree. I liked it a lot, especially when I first saw it. It's like, I want more. What about you, Nate? What are your thoughts on the Book of Shadows? Have you gotten to watch it recently?
I just watched it yesterday. I saw it in the theater when it came out. I remember not disliking it. I remember being kind of shocked that people didn't like it or even consider it to be one of the worst movies ever made, kind of thing. I don't agree with that. Um, I think it has a lot of great ideas. I like the whole idea of treating it like this is in a universe where the Blair Witch Project movie came out.
Yeah.
And that there are fans, and because that really did happen. There were people. Apparently, it like fucked up the hunting season in 1999 and 2000 because fans were out there scaring all the animals away. and like the sign in Burkittsville that you see in the movie got stolen 3 times, and like all kinds of So all these things are people really did go out there and do all that shit. And so to play on that, plus I like the idea that they got this guy. I can't remember the director's name, but he's the guy that directed the movies about the kids who were what was it? Lost Paradise. The kids that were the little boys that were murdered.
HBO documentary.
Yeah, he was a documentarian. Actually, he's only directed 2 films, like normal films, non like fiction films, which is this Blair Witch 2, and he did the Ted Bundy movie that my actress Morgan was in, the one with Ted Bundy, Zac Efron movie. But this guy made a lot of great documentaries, some of the best documentaries of the 90s. And but this was his first movie. And I know we've talked about it on the show before. We're watching it again yesterday. I think it has a lot of great ideas. I do think it's kind of a kind of messy because of the studio interference and the rushing of it. But I think it could have been better. My thing is, I talked about it on the show before, that period of filmmaking, it feels very 2000s, early 2000s, late 90s style horror movie that just to me doesn't hold up for me anymore. They all feel that way. The rhythms, the style of film, the style of editing, the style.
The addition of rock music, like heavy metal, and
which the director didn't like. Like the director did not want the Marilyn Manson song in there. The studio forced that on there, stuff like that, which I don't mind. But it's more of there's something about the way those films were made at that period. They all have this similar feel that I just don't think holds up for me personally. That was hard for me. And then the ending just kind of felt abrupt, even though the original ending was abrupt and the remake, it just feels like that's it. Like the guy yells at them, "You did something," you, and then that's it. Like it just felt very
fucking witch.
Yeah,
I love that.
Like I said, there's got some really cool stuff in there, and I Jeffrey Donovan, is that this guy's name? Just actor. Yeah. He jumped out right away. There was something about him that I said, this guy's got a future. And he did.
Guy stole my fucking look from back then. The goatee, the black hair, the sideburns. He had my look.
He's got, I just watched Let Him Go with Kevin Costner and, what's her name from Outsiders. He's in that. He's
Diane Lane?
Diane Lane, yeah. He's fucking creepy in that movie, and he's great, great in everything I've seen him in. Sicario, and I never did watch the TV's Burn Notice that he was on. Yeah. But I've liked him on the on Fargo, the TV show. He did that. And then the girl, I liked her, the redhead. She was in the Texas Chainsaw remake.
Erica something or other.
I like her. I think the movie. I don't think it's an awful movie. I think there are some technical issues, and again, that whole era of '98 to 2002 or so, where those films just feel so of that time, and I don't like that period of film a lot. That just kind of falls in there, apparently. So does the original movie, but that's what kind of, I don't know.
But they're completely different movies.
Yeah, I didn't mind. The thing about the Blair Witch, you can't replicate it.
No.
So the best thing they did was to do what they did, which was not try to replicate it. Did something completely different, which is probably why people hated it too, because they were expecting the same thing. But Wingard's movie is the same thing, and I kind of felt myself bored with it because it's the same thing.
But they did some different things with
They
the whole
just-
legend and the time loop, and we'll get the
Yeah.
Wingard movie. I
Yeah.
liked it, but I need to get Seth's input on the Book of Shadows movie.
Okay.
Seriously, that's all he's been talking about for like 2 weeks. It's like, come on, man.
He's got tattoos and everything.
Yeah, I know. He's got the runes.
He
like,
got all the
you notice
runes tattooed on him,
Erica's got the thorn. Is she going to be Michael Myers or what?
and he didn't take care of them so they would get all sword infected so he could
Yeah.
live the pain.
Is it history or hysteria? Yep. Come on.
Go defend it.
Yeah, no. When Book of Shadows came out, I heard a lot of it's the worst movie ever made.
Yeah.
And when I watched it, I was very pleasantly surprised. It definitely has, like Nate's saying, that era. To me, it definitely felt like it was still part of that post-Scream era where it was self-referential.
Very, very Scream knockoff vibe to it.
Yeah. But I especially love sequels that don't mimic the original at all. That's why I like Empire Strikes Back and Temple of Doom, stuff like that, where the sequels can kind of stand alone. And like I've told you guys before, found footage movies aren't really my big thing, so I kind of liked the traditional filmmaking aspect of it, the traditional storytelling of it.
Yeah.
But I found it to be really fun. I mean, yeah, there's definitely flaws in it, but I really liked the story. I liked the characters. I really loved the ending. I thought it was kind of fucked up. Like, not a lot of movies, especially movies involving supernatural elements, really scare me at all. But with that movie, I was like, well, that's kind of disturbing, especially like seeing the ending, from their perspective, and then seeing how it really went down with the camera footage. Mm-hmm. To me, like back then in the early 2000s, I was kind of taken back by that. I actually like the soundtrack too. I don't know. I always hear that it's a bad movie, and I always kind of put my foot down on that, and I'm like, no, it's fucking underrated. It's actually, I think it's got more value than people give it credit for. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's not the first movie. I like the idea that, just like what Nate was saying, is that it was referencing the fact that the first movie was the movie and there was a phenomenon with that movie, and that's what it was about. And then that there was, and it kind of surmised that the whole thing with the witch was actually real and actually happening. I just enjoyed the hell out of that movie.
Well, like you said, the creativity alone in that movie outdoes a lot of movies of its era. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of inventiveness, like great ideas, really cool stuff, like the times changing, and like you said, the what's really happened, what's not really happened, which is like predates High Tension, which we saw in High Tension, where she didn't realize what happened until they saw the video footage, and she's the one killing everybody. It's almost echoing that.
Yeah.
So
that's a good reference. Yeah.
It had a lot of good elements. I just think maybe too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing. Because it just feels like Jared said about the editing. It feels so chaotic at the end, where there's just so much cutting and so much going on and so much, like, I'm even confused as a viewer, which maybe, that maybe be the good thing about it. I don't think it's a terrible movie at all. People say it's the worst. There's a whole lot more worse that you can do than that, especially that time.
Yeah.
Most of my bias really is that it's hard to watch movies of that period and that style and that sound and the cadence and the way things were written and the music and everything. There's a polished thing to it, I guess, is what it is. Like, that a lot of people didn't like about the whole pre-Scream stuff.
Well, at least there weren't very many slow-mo fights, because that was a big thing back then too. You remember when the mummy?
Oh, the Matrix shit.
Yeah. But at least we didn't get bullet time in that movie. It was just
everything was Matrix fighting.
Yeah. Oh, I like that movie though. Overall, I was like I said, I was the first in line. The theater was empty when I saw it. I saw it in opening. I also saw the Rage Carry 2 in opening night. So, but anyway, I saw that opening night. I think they came out the same year. That's why I bring it up.
All those Shirley Manson looking actresses like the Heather Donahue and the girl from Carrie 2, they all kind of look like Shirley from Carrie.
And we got the Kim Director, who is the goth chick in Book of Shadows, who I just love. Thought she was great. There's a lot, and then they had the little girl who was wet and little doll fidgety, like they had that shit going for it. I don't know. It never really creeped me out or anything, but like the Blair Witch did. But I thought it was a fun movie, enjoyable to watch, and still going back to it, I like to revisit what I looked like in 2000 with Mr. Donovan. I mean, seriously, the long sideburns, goatee, the black, that was me. I was like, look, it's me.
He was definitely, yeah. Family Values Tour 98. that guy was listening to Limp Bizkit and Korn a lot.
Hell yeah. Sure was. Marilyn Manson, maybe? I don't know. But it does bring up the whole idea of there's the time paradox. With them losing the time, and I like that. Also, it kind of goes into possession because the girl, what's her name? The pregnant one, I can't remember her name. Fucking witch. She was kind of like possessed by the spirit of Ellie Kedward, and you didn't know what was going on with her, and I like that about the movie. Mark Graham says he got to see the first one in the theater too, believing it was real. Yeah, that was the best part about the first one. The second one, I do like that they created a world, that, like you said, the Blair Witch happened, but it was also a movie. I think that was kind of cool. Jared, did you get to say much about it?
Yeah, I mean, I had a few things to say about it. Ultimately, it was great. In my opinion, when I first saw it, you got lots of things that was said mean about it. I'm just going to say, these things are mean, these things are good, and this one is better. You're a fucking witch.
Fucking witch. All right, let's talk about 2016.
That's one of the things that got me, though. Like,
that was great.
We already kind of discussed it. But...
Fucking witch. I love that. It's like, ooh. So, 2016 Blair Witch. What do we think? Okay, first of all, there was a big hubbub because we didn't know it was just another Adam Wingard movie in the woods, I think, or Into the Woods or something like that. And then they revealed it at Comic-Con that it was the Blair Witch, the third Blair Witch movie. I was okay with it. It was just okay for me when I first saw it. It was a little hard to follow at times, and then you realize there's a time paradox because that couple shows up. Spoiler, by the way, shows up with a beard and like, is he working for the Blair Witch? Is he Rustin Parr now? It's like,
yeah, it's been like 5 days for them and been
right.
minutes for them. Yeah,
yeah, it's like Ant-Man and fucking Endgame. Like, I was gone for what 5 years? It was only like a couple hours for me.
Like Reese coming, what year?
Well, there's a couple things I liked about it though. Like they brought meaning to the bundles and the stick. Like the one stick figure gets crushed and that girl fucking crumbles to the ground. I thought that was cool.
That was a cool element.
Yeah,
I mean, I liked it. I liked that the thing that I liked about the film is that Wingard was obviously a massive fan of Blair Witch. Like, apparently, like that was like he was obsessed with that movie as a kid when he saw it, when he came out. And like, this was like a dream project for him. And it's there. My thing was like, it's not a bad movie. It's just that you'll never recapture that uniqueness of 1999 Blair Witch Project. Because it really is a lot like it, but it's just, you can't go back there. You just can't do it again. It's not going to have the same impact. It's not a bad made film. It's got a lot of great new ideas, but ultimately I could never watch it again and be fine. Like, even like I liked one we haven't talked about was, it's not really Blair Witch, but Willow Creek Bobcat Goldthwait's movie is very much like the Blair Witch movies. And I prefer that than watching this one. because it's Bigfoot. It's something different. It's like, and it has, Bobcat's touch, but which people don't think about that. But if people don't realize how good of a filmmaker Bobcat Goldthwait this turned out to be, because like God Bless America is one of the funniest, best movies. I don't know if you guys see that. If you haven't, make sure you see God Bless America.
All I think of when I hear his name is Zed from Police Academy.
Well, he hates that. Like, he hates that he got stuck with it because that's not who he is. I mean, it was a character, and it got him mileage, but he is not that guy.
Oh no, of course not.
Yeah, and so he's actually very, very talented. And God Bless America, the one he did, one of Robin Williams' last movies, World's Greatest Dad, or forgetting the title, but it's really good too. But Willow Creek is a straight up horror movie about people going looking for Bigfoot in the woods, a couple, and it just kind of echoes Blair Witch a lot, and I actually really, really enjoy it. But this movie, like, a lot of great stuff. I like the idea of this kid's looking for Heather, his sister,
Mm-hmm.
and I like.
I think he sees her in a video.
Yeah, and I love that Adam, again, was such a huge fan, and I'm happy for him that he got to do that. As like any of us are fans, we got to become a filmmaker and make a sequel to a movie that we loved and were obsessed with as a teenager. That's fucking cool.
Yeah, and now he's making King Kong versus Godzilla. Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's the director of.
Holy shit!
He
just announced he's doing something else now, right?
Yeah, man, that he's gonna be getting a lot of stuff. He's good. I mean, he did a lot of like You're Next and THS stuff like that. Let me look real fast. While I'm looking, Seth, why don't you tell us what you thought of the 2016 Blair Witch?
I watched it for the first time last night.
Oh, really? That was the first time?
First time, yep. Actually, I almost forgot about this show, and then I remembered last minute. I'm like, oh shit, I need to see that one. But the first half of the movie, I was like, okay, this is just the first movie, but with twice the cast and modern technology. So I wasn't really too impressed at first. But the second half of the movie, I thought it got a lot better. I really liked the time paradox stuff. Mm-hmm. I liked the thing with what the hell's his name? The Lane, is that his name? Him and his girlfriend, coming back and saying that they were gone for 5 days.
The townies.
Yeah, Lane. Yeah,
they were gone for like 5 days, and then when you see him again later on, he's got a full beard. So it's like it keeps happening. I like that aspect. I liked everything that took place in the house at the end, and especially with the two main characters facing the corner, and he hears Heather's voice, and he gets pulled away, and then it ends with her hearing his voice. I don't know. I just really liked the second half of the movie a lot.
You didn't see the Blair Witch. Yeah,
a little bit. Like that wasn't like the big draw for me. Like seeing the witch running around, but just the different ideas, and especially like you guys mentioned too, that thing where taking the twigs and then all of a sudden that fucking girl collapses, and
that was cool.
That was really, really, really cool.
The claustrophobic moment got me.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Definitely.
Oof.
So yeah, first half of the movie, I thought it was just a retread, but because I'm not a fan of. I mean, I like a lot of sequels that even kind of mimic the first ones of whatever, but I prefer when they do something different. But this one, it's like it opened out literally like the same thing. Just, 6 people instead of 3, and now they have a drone. But I don't know. The second half of the movie really took off, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think that you're right. I felt like they spent too much time in the house, but I did like the end where you got to see the Blair Witch for a split second and how fucked up, because they added the which I don't think they had talked about before, where they added the whole idea that they hung her by the tree and added weights to lengthen her limbs or whatever, which I don't remember that from anything until this. So they added to the mythology a little bit as well. But yeah, overall, it didn't, as they say, blow my skirt up as much as the other two. So I liked it overall. I like Adam Wingard quite a bit, which all started way back at, I think VHS was the first thing, one of his little segments in that. He did Death Note also.
Yeah, he won me over because I remember at first I was like, "Who is this asshole?" Because I remember listening to the VHS commentary, and I think it was just him and like maybe his team. I don't know if it was everybody. And I remember all they did was talk about Your Next. Like, oh, Your Next had come out, but they were just promoting Your Next, a whole fucking commentary. I'm like, all right, enough of your fucking movie. You know? Like, this is a commentary about this movie, you know, not about what you're doing next.
You're not going to do that on the commentary for Dark and Bloody. I'm
not going to promote my next movie. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. No, I'm going to talk about that movie because that's why you're listening. But that's what I remember being like, who is this asshole? But Your Next was great, and you know I liked The Guest, and
he went on to do The Guest. That was a really good one.
Yeah,
what did he do after The Guest or after?
Well, he did Blair Witch.
Death Note.
Death Note
was I like Death Note. Yeah, he's and they just announced something after this King Kong movie.
I can't find it. I got King Kong versus Godzilla, but I can't find it.
He's not doing a Stephen King movie, is he? Or is he doing The Running Man? Is he the one doing The Running? No, that's Edgar Wright.
That's Edgar Wright.
Shit, I can't remember. They just announced that he was doing something after this, after the King Kong movie. That's kind of a big deal.
Face Off.
Doing Face Off. That's right.
Face Off sequel.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It's not even on his IMDb.
Which after, you know, watching The Guest, he'll be really good for that because The Guest totally captures 90s action movie. Not John Woo action, but I don't think we need to see John Woo action now. But yeah, I do like Adam.
Yeah, I'm curious how he's going to pull that off. Doing a direct sequel to Face Off.
That'd be weird. All right.
Are we talking Nicolas Cage and John Travolta like right after?
Yeah. Face.
Pretty sure their faces are already going to fall off because they're old and moldy.
I don't remember the original. Did Nick Cage's character die? Castor Troy?
Yeah.
Did he get the peach? Or whatever it was?
Could eat that for hours.
Yeah.
I could eat it for hours. Man, I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Let's wrap it up. Let's do some final thoughts on the Blair Witch series. Unless you guys got anything else you want to say about the 2016 movie. Should there be another Blair Witch movie? Would you watch it? That's the question. Let us know in the comments. Nate, there we go.
I just want to apologize to Seth and Ray for not liking the sequel. Now I want to see the making of it.
Yeah,
like I would think that would be a really fun. Or again, the Rustin Parr Ellie movie. That would be cool.
There's a lot that could be done.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts overall on the series?
I really only give a shit about the first movie and the documentary. The other ones, I could live without ever seeing them again. But there's just something. I mean, again, there was something so unique and one of a kind because of the timing that Blair Witch came out with the internet and the marketing and the genius and the building up of the mythology and the time, the patience they had to wait a year to do all that stuff. I don't think we'll see it again. I don't think it can be done.
No, I don't think so.
All right, let's move to Jared. What about you? Final thoughts on the series? Would you like another movie?
I don't think it's necessary. And to piggyback on what Nate was saying, like You could have the same marketing scheme and the same type of faux mockumentary going with a movie right now, and would have not even like a fucking shit stain on the effect that it had back when it came out. Like he's right. Like it was perfect for the time when it came out, and it mesmerized all of us until we all watched it.
Yeah, Snopes would ruin it right now.
Some people were enthralled by it. Some people got nauseated by it. Some people, just didn't like it. But I mean, it's like that was a time like where marketing actually worked before everything blew up in social media. And it's just, I agree. There's not anything. It's not going to happen like that ever again.
All right. What about you, Seth? Bring it home.
The question is, would I want to see another one?
Yep. And overall thoughts.
Okay. If they do make another one, I would see it. I would hope that if they do another one, that they wouldn't go back.
You said doo-doo.
You said doo-doo.
I would hope they wouldn't go back to the first one.
Yeah.
They just need to kind of like let that go. Find like a different style, a different approach to the story.
Echoes.
But at the same time, I'm fine with it being just 3 films. Overall thoughts. I like this franchise. I like all 3 movies. They're not movies that I'm gonna watch a lot. It's not like Dream Master where I'll put that in like once every week or something like that. But they're good movies, and I had a fun time, especially revisiting the first one because I only have that on VHS. And watching it last week, it was the first time I watched it.
Did you watch it on Netflix or did you watch your VHS?
No, I found it on. Yes, I watched it on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank anybody who watched our show. I had a good time. I like the Blair Witch movies. I think they're fun. Once a year, good enough for me. I want you to come back next week, though. We're going to have a very special episode. We're going to be talking about this movie. Oh, no.
Oh, that looks like Superman 4.
That was Superman 3. We're going to talk about Return of the Living Dead next week.
Hey, we should watch it. We should do a commentary.
That was the plan, but I wasn't sure if anybody was on board. So you want to do a commentary on Return of the Living Dead? Because we can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm ready to party. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to party.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do.
Is that a dead body?
What?
Send more commentary.
Is it? That's from Friday the 13th, the game. So
No, Tim Matheson says that.
Anyway, so it sounds like we're going to be doing a commentary. We haven't done one of those in a while. Return of the Living Dead, awesome. One of the best zombie movies ever. Top 10 for sure. Where's it rank for you guys?
It's in my top 10.
Yeah.
Zombie movies.
I think it's my number 5.
It's either number 3 or 4 on my list.
Probably 5 for me.
I'd say
I have Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Dawn of the Dead.
I love it, but still, probably top 5, 6, maybe.
All right. So make sure you join us next week. Hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube watching. Hit the like button. Tell your friends about us. We're going to do a commentary on the 1985 great Return of the Living Dead. And next month, all the month long, we've got zombie stuff. So talking about some Romero zombie movies. And there you go. Is that shirt's not available anymore, is it?
No, it was just 4 days for his birthday.
Yeah. Well, you can find a Romero shirt somewhere, a zombie shirt. I don't even have a Return of the Living Dead shirt now that I think about it. It's too late now. Anyway, thanks for joining us for the episode. We'll be back next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. You guys have a good night. I hope you guys have a good evening as well. We'll see you next time.